things are happening, market is curling. We are anticipating a major move to the upside. Everything is looking bullish across the board. As you can see from the crypto bubbles, a lot of green in the market. Looking at the fear and greed index, we can see we are now back in deep greed zones of 73, inching above what we were yesterday of 66, and over the weekend, of course, because of the crash and everything that happened. So this is what is telling us. And what I really, what all this bullish sentiment really pops out to me and really tells me is that there's an alt season around the corner. And this is even validated. This, my thesis, is validated by lots of crypto enthusiasts and macro hedge fund guys in the space. And like you can see with this tweet, which Michael Van de Pop is saying that altcoin season index is showing that we are about to fire up a massive alt season. And for the past 5 years, altcoin season index bottomed in the summer, primarily in June of every year, which was last month, and we are just starting July. So all of this is just turning. The market has just turned, has taken a different turn. Of course, all of this is coupled and is being fueled by the QE and all the legislation, the 3 different legislation, the Big Beautiful Bill, the Clarity Act, and I forget the other name of the other one, but there are 3 major bills coming. The crypto czar in the White House, David Sachs, has already even tweeted and said that July will be a banging month in this space. So a lot of things and a lot of bullish catalyst is gearing up, and we can see that literally in the chart. Of course, we saw that with last week's dump to 108, 107 thereabouts, and in the high of 107s, and a similarly pump into our local high of around 109,800 over the weekend. And even so, this is what we are just seeing over the weekend and yesterday, and now we are just looking at a similar pullback from that range, and we got rejected at 109, and now we seem to be pulling back. So I'll expect a pullback down to around 108, the highs of 108,000, and that would similarly tell us what we are going to be doing in the near term. And this is what we are looking at on Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, we'll just be looking for testing of the support of 108, the highs of 108, before confirming that support. And now we can look for a new high, a new near-term high of around 109 for us to break that resistance. It will be a tall order for the bulls to be able to break this. So we are expecting the bulls to break this level of 109,800 before we have a pullback. So it's going to be a absolute tear and a battle between the bulls and the bear for that to be accomplished. Also, we can see with our other chart that we have been looking at, that has been respecting the trend lines. We can see that the same similarly is the case. So we expect maybe a daily low for around 108,700. 793, let's just say 108,800. So this is what we are looking on the Bitcoin chart. But one thing that really stands out to me, one other chart, is the Ethereum one. Of course, this is coupled with a lot of catalysts like Tom Lee that is now putting Ethereum, and he wants to be the micro strategy of Ethereum, putting Ethereum on his treasury, on his balance sheet of his company. So that is what is happening in Ethereum. And if you even look at Dune Analytics, things like Artemis and all these on-chain data analysis tools, you can see there's a lot of bullish catalyst and a lot of exchanges and whales that have been accumulating Ethereum more than Bitcoin, in fact, because I believe Ethereum, of course, we all know this, like I said and alluded to, talking about the altcoin cycle, Ethereum is the first mover and the one that moves first, dragging all altcoins, because Ethereum is the #1 blue chip for altcoins and is the one that will set the tone for altcoin season. So expect a lot of fireworks to play out and a lot of money to be made eventually, because at the end of the day, as traders, our bottom line is what our PNL is and how we can make money from all this volatility. So I'm looking at Ethereum, and I've been looking at it, of course, as you can see with my videos from last week. I got stopped out in 2 trades in particular on Ethereum, and because I'm still looking at Ethereum, and Ethereum looks incredibly bullish, incredibly interesting, and we have just been coiling up, expecting for a further move. We can see on Ethereum chart, we got temporarily stopped out of, so we have a resistance of around 2,581. So we need to clear this resistance of 2,581 before we have a pull to the upside. So this is what I'm looking at Ethereum. And now, right now, we look like we are getting temporarily rejected. So we should expect a pullback to 2,504. So once we get that pullback of 2,504, we should be seeing a bounce of that support and a confirmation of that support before we have another pull up to the upside, which we are similarly expecting and which we are looking forward to. So Ethereum, we want, as traders, again, what I want to do is to always stay ahead of the market and ahead of the price movement so that we can capture this movement to the upside. So on Ethereum, again, I'm going to be, although now with a lower bag and a lower position size, I'm going to enter a long on Ethereum right here on this trade. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm setting a limit order on 5x leverage isolated, and I'm putting a limit order of around, for my limit order to trigger around 2,470 for $500 5x leverage, and my take profit will be around 2,862, and my stop loss, a tight stop loss of around 2,373. So this is what I'm doing, and I'll be taking this long, and that is there. My open order is already there, and we'll be looking forward to this trade and be keeping you guys abreast of the results of this trade and how we go far along on this. Then one thing that comes up to mind, and I think is interesting for us to look at, is TON, because TON, if you follow the news and you saw everything that was happening on Twitter and everything, TON actually announced that they were offering a 10-year golden visa in UAE if you stake $100,000 worth of TON coin on the TON platform. So we got a similar spike yesterday, and we could see that really was evident in the chart. As you can see on the 1 hourly chart, you can see this spike. That was when they gave the announcement, and that was actually bullish. And you can see what happened here. There was a lot of bullish candle, a lot of green candles, which was reflected in the chart of around, let's calculate it, of around 12% move. And similarly, when UAE now announced, this was not the case, and they never had any agreements with TON on this. We saw a similar dump moving forward. So TON is something to look at, and we should just draw the trend lines to be able to spot where we might be having a pullback and where we might have support. So you can see there's a support of around $2.07, and we'll be looking at this. This is quite interesting. So we see if there's further news on TON, it will be something for us to range trade and to see what will be about. So we'll be looking using the news, and this is very news dependent kind of trade. So we'll be looking based on what news comes out further regarding the UAE and TON, and position ourselves on TON USD before we make a trade. These are the trades that I have for you today. The Ethereum trade, which is still open and is yet to trigger at 2,470, and looking at the Bitcoin, we'll be looking at confirmation of our support of around the highs of 108 before we know what we'll be doing moving forward. This is the trade I have for you. I hope you guys are staying abreast of everything, watching all the videos, liking and subscribe, so that you can take trade with me on the Ashet platform, which we have introduced to you and will continue to push down, because this is the opportunity for you to make a lot of money in a prop trading firm where you can have up to 5x leverage, and 80% of profits are yours, and you just deposit a little bit of money, and further money once you start a challenge, the challenges, and you start passing the challenges, you'll be granted much more liquidity so that you can earn more profit, and 80% of that is yours. Where do you see that? Only prop trading firm like Hashed can provide all this to you. Sign up in the link below in the comments, and we look forward to seeing you amongst us on our team, where all of us are winners and we make money from zero to Ferrari. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.